Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday evening, hope you all are doing well. It is the game review. West Ham United 0, Everton 1 at the London Stadium yesterday afternoon. Another fantastic win for Sean Dyche and the boys, and a really well deserved and much needed win as well. We spoke in a preview about how difficult of a week this has been for everybody involved with Everton Football Club, be it the manager, be it the players, be it the fans, be it the backroom staff, anybody with any form of association with Everton Football Club will have had an extremely difficult last sort of 7 days or so. Obviously, we had the Merseyside derby defeat and the circumstance in which that came in, being, a game in which we were quite clearly and evidently robbed in. We then obviously had the devastating news about Bill Kenwright a couple of days later. Following that, we had all of the discussions about FFP, literally the day after, it was announced that Bill had sadly passed away. We had newspaper articles demanding that we have a 12-point deduction if we're found guilty of the FFP breach. So it was a really rough 4 or 5 days or so to be an Evertonian, and we said going into yesterday that it would be really nice if Sean Dyche and these players could turn up, put a performance in that we could all be proud of, put a performance in that Bill will be looking down on and being proud of, and go out and get all 3 points and end the week at least with some form of positivity, end the week with something to be able to smile about and look forward to. We've got a couple of big games this week at Goodison Park, Burnley on Wednesday night. Of course, the preview to that game, by the way, will be out tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow around about the same time as we are now with the preview to that game, and then obviously we've got Brighton in the Premier League on Saturday, which will be a really difficult game. Brighton, of course, are a fantastic side, so it was important that we got something out of yesterday, not only to sort of put a positive end to a pretty dismal week, but also to try and build us some confidence and momentum going into them couple of home games, because it was one of the things that I think was most important following last week's Merseyside derby defeat. Was, for me anyway, personally, it was absolutely imperative that we didn't allow that defeat to completely destroy us. We didn't allow it to destroy our confidence. We didn't allow it to destroy our momentum. Prior to that defeat, we'd been in a pretty decent run of form, I think it's fair to say. Luton game excluded, obviously. We'd beaten Bournemouth comfortably at Goodison, our best performance of the season. Prior to that, we'd beaten Aston Villa away from home in the Cup, which was a massive win. We'd beaten Brentford away as well in the league, which was a massive win. So, as I said, excluding the Luton game, which I think a lot of us sort of were able to put behind us when we beat Bournemouth so comfortably at Goodison, we'd been in our best run of form certainly this season, and maybe even our best run of form since Sean Dyche has been at the football club. So it was important that we didn't allow what was a good performance against Liverpool and an unfortunate defeat. And as I said, certainly a game that was clouded by the decisions made by the referee on the day. We didn't allow that to defeat us. We didn't allow that to, drag us down, to ruin our confidence, to ruin our momentum. And we didn't. We turned up yesterday. We were absolutely outstanding. We were absolutely outstanding from start to finish. I said in the instant match reaction yesterday, and I'll say it again here, that was a Sean Dyche type of performance, and I can't sort of explain to you enough how many times I've heard football fans of other football clubs that aren't Everton talking about Everton under Sean Dyche, and talking about how we should never be under any pressure about going down, and we'll be okay because we've got Sean Dyche as the manager, and Sean Dyche is capable of putting these type of performances in. Well, I honestly think yesterday was one of the first times. We saw it a couple of times early on in his Everton career, when we beat Leeds at home, when we beat Brentford at home, when we beat Arsenal at home. But certainly this season, that was the first time that we've seen that sort of vintage Sean Dyche performance. And by that, what I mean is a performance where Everton turn up, we battle We make it extremely difficult for the opposition team to break us down. We frustrate them. We work hard. We give everything. We don't stop running and battling and fighting and giving it all until, the very last whistle. And we hit them on the counter-attack and we take the chances that we create. That is a typical Sean Dyche performance. Shut up shop. It's probably not the most entertaining football in the world. It's not the most exciting to watch, but it will get you results. And do you know what? I hope we play like that every single week, if it means we're guaranteed to get results, because I've got no problem with playing boring styles of football. I know there's this thing with football at the moment where, there's this sort of real focus and real sort of attention on the way in which teams play football. Oh, well, they're a good, they play nice football, they're good to watch, or they're not great to watch, their football's boring, it's long ball, it's this, it's that, it's the other. I remember a couple of years ago when Leeds were in the Premier League under Bielsa and they were losing every game 5-3, 6-3, 4-2, but because they were playing expansive football and they were open and they were attacking teams and they were being attacked for that, everybody loved them because they were playing great football, despite the fact that they'd lose quite heavily, often because of the way in which they played. And I could never understand that. I've never, ever understood the argument of Everton, absolutely must play lovely football. If Everton can play lovely football and win games, then perfect, absolutely perfect. That's a double whammy. That's brilliant. But first and foremost for me has always been winning games of football. And if we've got to play a boring style which nobody wants to watch and nobody's excited by, but it means we come out of that game with a win, I'd rather that than playing a lovely, exciting style, but we lose 4-3 because we get caught on the counter-attack 4 times. It's all about winning. Football is about winning, and when you've been in the position Everton have been in for the last 2 years, i.e., needing to win on the final day or the penultimate day of the season to stay in the Premier League, when you've been there and you've seen that over the last 24 months and you've lived it, I think it's fair to say a lot of us now are just focused on Everton getting results, not necessarily how we get results, just getting results. That performance yesterday was a very atypical Sean Dyche away performance. Battle, work hard, defend impeccably, shut up shop, make the game boring, make the game plain, but go and get the goal, go and get the winner, and then be absolutely secure, for the rest of the game. Don't give anything silly away and get all 3 points. And I want to see more of that. I do. I want to see more of that. And my big crux with Sean Dyche since coming into the football club, and I had a couple of people on the comments saying, do you still want him sacked? Do you still want him sacked? I still don't think he's completely in the clear. I still don't think this is a situation that we're looking at of, let me rephrase that. I think he probably is in the clear in terms of his job security because of everything else that is going on around the football club at the moment, the change of ownership, obviously everything going on with the chairman, the financial fair play situation. I think his job is probably really, really secure, but I don't think that is because of the fact that Everton have completely turned things around performance-wise or results-wise. However, what I will say is one of my biggest critics of Sean Dyche was when he was brought to Everton Football Club, we were all told that we'd be great defensively, we'd be really solid, we wouldn't ship many goals, we'd win a lot of games 1-0 by shutting up shop and defending well. We might lose the odd game against the better teams, but for the most part, we'll beat most of the teams that we expect to beat, and we'll beat a lot of teams that maybe we're not expecting to beat by shutting up shop and defending, because that's the Sean Dyche way. And my biggest issue was when he come in, we weren't seeing that. We were told that we had this manager who was going to absolutely secure us defensively, and the worry was always, well, what are we going to do going forward? How are we going to approach going forward? Because, if Dyche knows anything, it's how to set up a team to defend, and it's how to set up a really strong defence, but he's maybe not as well known for setting up a good attack or a quality attack. But it was completely the other way. We shipped goals consistently, week in, week out, for months. He constantly was putting Michael Keane in there, despite the fact we know he shouldn't have been in there. He was reluctant to put Yerry Mina in there towards the back end of the season. He started this season again with Michael Keane, and it was almost reversed. We were creating opportunities up the other end. We weren't scoring them, but defensively we were leaking goals week in, week out. So Yes, yesterday was a perfect example of a Sean Dyche performance, but we haven't seen that anywhere in enough. And if we had seen that every week, then we probably wouldn't be sitting here having the complaints that we've been having, because we probably wouldn't have lost to, Luton or Wolves or Fulham, because defensively we'd have been much better than what we have been. Whereas now, I think the manager has finally found his centre-back partnership, and the centre-back partnership that will take him forward this season. And the key to being consistent in football and getting consistent results, i.e. being able to string 2 or 3 wins together. I'm not saying win every game, because it's impossible to win every game for a team like Everton at the moment, but the key to having consistency in football, being able to string a couple of good wins together, being able to have consistent good performances, is consistency on the pitch, consistency in the starting 11. Football is a sport that is built on partnerships. Yes, you've got 11 men on the field, but out of those 11 men, you've got 4 or 5 big partnerships that, if they aren't working, i.e. if the players in those partnerships haven't got the right chemistry, don't quite understand how each other play, don't quite communicate properly, aren't quite on the same page, in terms of the wavelength, then your performances are going to be affected by that, and the consistency is going to be affected by that. What we're now seeing is this Everton team and Sean Dyche are starting to really, really build their partnerships. I'm talking Vitaly Mykolenko and Dwight McNeil on that left-hand side. A really, really solid partnership. Mykolenko has been fantastic in recent weeks. Absolutely fantastic in recent weeks. Dwight McNeil, although he wasn't massively involved in creating anything yesterday, or assisting or creating chances on goal, he still, as I said in the player ratings, didn't stop, didn't give up, didn't stop running, didn't stop battling, didn't stop working hard, didn't stop fighting, didn't stop giving absolutely everything until the final whistle. Even in the final 5-10 minutes, when he was absolutely knackered, blowing out of his arse, he was still adamant to run after every ball, chase every ball down, win every ball back. Jarrod Branthwaite, James Tarkowski, another partnership. Finally, a sort of settled down, comfortable centre-back partnership. An experienced 30-odd-year-old, Premier League veteran, if you like, in James Tarkowski, captain of the football club, played for years at Burnley, at centre-half, a real sort of Premier League, as I said, veteran in terms of his position. And who'd you partner him with? You partner him with one of the best up-and-coming young talents in the country in his position, in Jarrod Branthwaite, who, once again, yesterday, was just absolutely phenomenal. I really am, starting to run out of words and phrases and, things to describe Jarrod Branthwaite, because he just gets better and better and better week in, week out, doesn't he? And yesterday, once again, he was absolutely phenomenal. He really, really was absolutely phenomenal. And the partnership that those two have created is one that is benefiting Everton, because 4 or 5 weeks ago, when we didn't have that partnership there, we might have conceded yesterday. We mightn't have been able to keep West Ham out for 90 minutes. We might have got our goal, but we might have conceded one on the break, because that communication might not have been there, or that chemistry might not have been there, that sort of relationship between them. Now, they've got that partnership, they've got that relationship, they've got that knowledge of each other, they've got that confidence to be able to speak to each other. Right, you go and I'll stay here, or you go, I'll go and you stay there. And we're seeing that evidently in the performances. Defensively, we are so much better now than we were 5 or 6 weeks ago. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Abdoulaye Doucouré, that's a partnership. James Garner and Onana, that's a partnership. The only place we're really missing a partnership is the right-hand side, and that's because the manager keeps chopping and changing who plays there. Personally, I think if you leave Patterson there and give Patterson a fair run out in the team, i.e., a good number of weeks where he's consistently starting, I think he will form a partnership with Jack Harrison. And once those two have got a partnership, then there's partnerships all over the pitch then. And that's how we will become more consistent, and that's how we win more games of football. And it's so important. If you listen to the top football analysts and people that really know what they're talking about at the highest level of this sport, they will all talk about partnerships and how important partnerships on the pitch are. Go and listen to any ex-player that has won Champions Leagues or Premier Leagues. They'll talk about how important it was to have partners on the field. And for far too long, Everton haven't had that. We haven't had partnerships. We've had individual players who may have quality, who may have a bit of flair, who may have a bit of class, but there's been no chemistry between any of them. So they've not been able to play as a team, and ultimately we've ended up losing games on the back of that. So it was really refreshing, really refreshing to see that performance yesterday. As I said, if that is a typical Sean Dyche performance, then give me that every week, because I had no problem with it. I thought we shut West Ham down really well. I thought we created chances. We probably could have won 2-3, 4-0 on the day. And, if Dom doesn't take his chance, maybe we're sitting here a little bit more frustrated there. Jack Harrison for the opportunities that he missed, or Decore for the opportunity that he missed. But the reality of the situation is we never really, at any point in the game, looked under any amount of threat. Yes, they had a spell of 10-15 minutes at the start of the game where they were certainly the more excited team, if you like. They had more of the ball, they were trying to get forward, they were trying to pin us back, they were trying to hurt us, but it was only a spell of 10 or 15 minutes, and we dealt with it really well. We defended it brilliantly. Once again yesterday, the defence could have easily all got 10 out of 10. I know they didn't. Spoiler, if you haven't checked out the player ratings, please go and do that. But the back line yesterday could have, on another day, quite easily all picked up a 10 out of 10 rating. Because I don't think Vitaly Mykolenko put a foot wrong all afternoon. I don't think Jarrod Branthwaite put a foot wrong all afternoon. I don't think James Tarkowski put a foot wrong all afternoon. And as I said yesterday, I thought Nathan Patterson had a couple of hairy moments early on, but like I said, it was a couple of moments in 90 minutes. For the rest of the game, he was absolutely sound. He was perfect. He was brilliant. So, that is the key, and Dyche does deserve credit for that, because finally it looks like he's managed to fix those defensive issues, and it'll be interesting to see what he does on Wednesday. Obviously, we've got a cup game against Burnley, and whether or not he decides to give Michael Keane an opportunity, maybe Ben Godfrey an opportunity to get, some minutes in their legs, and I'm sure he probably will rest Tarkowski for the weekend, and maybe he'll rest Branthwaite as well. But I do firmly believe that is our centre-back partnership now. And even if Michael Keane, turns up on Wednesday night and has an absolute game of his life, unbelievable, I still don't think he'll be in there on Saturday, and neither should he be either, because that partnership of James Tarkowski and Jarrod Branthwaite has worked wonders since it's been in there. And as I said, Branthwaite is somebody that is getting better and better as the weeks go on, and Tarkowski is benefiting hugely from that as well. It's not just Branthwaite who's benefiting from that. Reconnect. There we are, we're back. Sorry about that. There's something going on with our Wi-Fi at the moment. It's been like this for a couple of weeks. It keeps messing up multiple times a day. It's something that we need to sort out, but unfortunately I'm not the account holder, so I can't sort it out, so I apologise about that. Anyway, let's go over to Fan Hub and have a little look at my predicted starting 11 for this game. As you can see, once again, second week on the spin, I got every single player correct, guessed every single player correct. Not necessarily a difficult task, considering it was kind of obvious that we would go with the same team, or certainly a similar team. Obviously, we had to change Ashley Young out for Nathan Patterson, but as you can see, 11 out of 11 correct. Didn't get me booking bonus because Vitaly Mykolenko didn't pick up a booking in this game, unfortunately, but I have got, because I got all 11 right, as you can see, I've gained an extra couple of 100 points, 550 points now. I was on 300 before, I think. Also, when I go to predict the starting lineup for the Burnley game, which will be in tomorrow's preview, I've got another couple of bonuses there to be able to use. A super sub bonus, bear with me a second while I get it up. let's let this load in. Super sub bonus, which hang on, I don't know what's going on there. There you go. If you select the player that comes off the bench for your team first, you'll get an extra point. And then we've got another booking bonus, which if you select a player that gets a red or yellow card at any time in the match, you will get an extra point as well. So we'll be doing that predicted starting 11 in the game preview to the Burnley game tomorrow. So don't forget to look out for that one. If you haven't checked out FanHub, it is the top line of the description. You can use the code THE-UBP to download it. Go and follow us over there at The Mighty Blues. We're following everyone back. We're trying to build a community over there and get your predicted starting lineups in ahead of Wednesday's game. But yeah, like I said, for me, a really, really solid, well-managed professional performance by Everton yesterday afternoon, and one that I hope to see a lot more of, because it wasn't a particularly great game. It wasn't a particularly entertaining game. It wasn't one that, we'll be sitting here and talking about fondly in 4, 5, 6 years' time for the quality that was on show. But what it was a game that Everton absolutely had to get something out of. And like I said, I am not one of these fans that demands to be entertained week in, week out. I'm not one of these fans that is going to sit there and complain if we've not seen a 3-4 goal thriller on a Saturday afternoon. I don't care if Everton win 750-0 or if Everton win 1-0. Obviously, it's nicer if we put a really good performance in and we manage to win by a couple of goals and it's dominant and it's this, that, the other. Of course, it's nicer. However, for me, personally, I'm quite happy watching Everton win 1-0. I'm quite happy with it being a boring, dull, in a game where not much is going on and there's not really much to talk about or cheer about, as long as at the end of it Everton have come away with all 3 points. And that was exactly the case on Sunday. So, yeah, as I said, I think we started the game well, but I think West Ham started the game, the team on top. I think they come out the gate flying pretty much straight away. You obviously had Mohamed Kudus in there, which almost seemed like it was inevitable that he was going to get a goal against Everton because of all the rumours linking him with a move to Everton before he moved to West Ham. And they put out a fairly solid team. Jared Bowen in there as well, of course. They had Michael Antonio, who, in hindsight, we can sit back and say what a dreadful performance it was by Michael Antonio, and it was the worst I've ever seen him. But before the game, I don't think there was anybody saying, yeah, I'm happy with Michael Antonio being in there. He's not very good. He's somebody that has caused Everton and Everton defences so many issues over the years. Michael Antonio, I can count on probably one hand how many times I've witnessed an Everton defence handle Michael Antonio properly and not allow him to have any sort of time or space or movement in a game of football. It ain't very often, trust me, it ain't very often. Yesterday was an example of that. And like I said, about Jared Branthwaite, I think he's shown once again yesterday why he is an absolutely fantastic talent, and somebody that hopefully can be at this football club for many years to come. And if he isn't at this football club for many years to come, it will be because he's been sold for a large amount of money, and by large I mean hundreds of millions of pounds plus, because that's genuinely what he's worth. It certainly will be if he keeps up these performances anyway. But yeah, like I said, nobody before the game was going, oh, we usually have a fairly comfortable afternoon against Antonio, so I've got no issue with that. That wasn't the case whatsoever. But yeah, I thought they started on the front foot. They seemed like they were wanting to get at us. They obviously had come off the back of a couple of heavy defeats as well, one in Europe in midweek and one in the Premier League last week, and they obviously were wanting to to give themselves a bit of a sort of, I suppose, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Bounce back is the phrase I'm looking for. Bounce back after the two really poor performances and two poor results from them. And you could tell in the beginning of the game, I think they were trying really hard to do that. They were pushing the ball forward. I don't think Jordan Pickford was ever particularly troubled, but we were certainly put under a little bit of pressure defensively in the opening 15-20 minutes of the game that we had to deal with. And do you know what? We did deal with that. and we dealt with it really, really well. As I said, I thought Mikalenko's one-on-one defending in that opening period of the game was absolutely fantastic. I really, really do. I think Onana's tracking back and desire to get back, win the ball back, break the play up on the edge of the box, playing in that sort of Garner Gay role was absolutely brilliant. I thought, like I said before, I thought Jared Branthwaite's, management of Mikel Antonio was unlike I've ever seen before from somebody of his age and somebody of Mikel Antonio's experience. Tarkowski was really, really solid. Pickford dealt with what he had to deal with, even if it wasn't particularly anything that would cause him mass issues. And once we'd soaked up that sort of 10-15 minutes, in which they sort of come out the gate, fast, like I said, I think the game started to suit us a lot more after that point. And I think Sean Dyche managed the game to perfection. I really, really do. It was the perfect example of a really well-managed away performance, a really professional away performance, if you like. Frustrate the opposition, deal with the pressure, deal with the the moments of their confidence and their momentum, deal with all of that, hit them on the break, get your goal, and then frustrate them. Don't allow them the space to run in, don't allow them to get crosses into the box, don't allow them to walk through you in midfield, and the fundamentals of that system and the fundamentals of that way of playing and the fundamentals of that type of performance and being able to pull off that type of performance is hard work. You cannot go out there and put in that type of performance that we did yesterday and come away with 3 points without every single player putting in 110%. And like I said in the play ratings yesterday, I do think there were a couple of players that weren't particularly as involved as maybe we would have liked them to have been. Players like James Garner, players like Dwight McNeil, who weren't massively influential on the ball or weren't massively influential when it comes to creating opportunities or moving us forward. However, what they both did was work their absolute bollocks off for 90 plus minutes. And that is something that should be a given. It absolutely should be a given. It shouldn't be something that we're having to sit here and talk about as a massive sort of plus point for a player. Every single time any player puts that Everton shirt on, it should be, it should be a given that they give 110%. They don't stop until the final whistle. They battle, they work hard, they fight, etc., etc. But as we all know, with modern day football, that isn't the case. That isn't necessarily the case. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like, you sign for a football club for 60, 70, 80, 90 million pounds on 200, 300, 400 grand a week and you all of a sudden commit yourself to giving everything week in, week out. It doesn't work like that. We know that. And we've seen that for many years at Everton Football Club. Players that are playing for Everton who aren't giving 110%, who maybe are sort of shitting out of that tackle in the final 10 or 15 minutes because they're a bit tired or they don't want to fly in or they've dropped the percentages 5 or 10% because it's the end of the game and they're tiring a little bit. And that simply cannot happen if you are wanting to play that system and style of sort of, as I said, shutting up shop and putting in a really professional performance. Everybody has to dig deep. For the time that they're on that pitch, everybody has to dig deep. And we saw that yesterday. We saw that. And I think that started to frustrate West Ham because when they had their little 10 or 15 minute, flurry of possession and of getting forward and trying to create things, and we dealt with it and they'd realised, oh, hang on, these aren't going to be as easy a pushover as we expected. Defensively, these are looking really solid. These aren't going to let us just walk through them. That then benefited Everton because the more and more frustrated they got, the more and more, we were able to take advantage of that. We were able to take advantage of it on the counter-attack. We were able to take advantage of it moving forward. We were able to obviously take advantage of it defensively as well. And like I said, I can't praise Jared Branthwaite enough. I think he's phenomenal. But he wasn't the only one yesterday. He wasn't the only one. Amadou Onana That was his best performance in an Everton shirt. If you are enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. It does only take a second. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. That would mean a huge, huge, huge amount to me. Go and check out Fan Up in the description down below. As I said, download it there. Yeah, as I said, Amadou Onana, that was his best performance in an Everton shirt. By a country mile, by the way. By a country mile. He's never put a performance in as good as that since being at this football club. Vitaly Mykolenko, absolutely phenomenal. Again, I thought he was phenomenal, last week, dealing with Mohamed Salah, one of the best, forwards in world football. He was phenomenal again yesterday. His one-on-one defending has gotten so much better, and it's something that I don't think is being spoken about an awful lot, is his one-on-one defending. His one-on-one defending yesterday, again, was absolutely brilliant, and it was brilliant last week against Liverpool. It was brilliant last week against Mohamed Salah, and I feel a little bit sorry for Mykolenko, because Salah ended up scoring 2 goals last week, and that would, ultimately on paper that looks like it's come because of Vitaly Mykolenko not being able to defend him properly because it was on his side, but neither of the goals were anything to do with Mykolenko, and actually he was absolutely fantastic last week, and he was absolutely fantastic again yesterday. I've not watched many defenders many fullbacks get the better of Jarrod Bowen over the last 12 to 18 months whilst he's been in the form that he's been in. He's been absolutely unstoppable recently. Jarrod Bowen, he's been brilliant, and Mykolenko dealt with him yesterday like it was a piece of cake, like there was no issue whatsoever. He was fantastic yesterday. Vitaly Mykolenko, absolutely fantastic. As I said, Tarkowski in there, thought Patterson had a good game. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we'll obviously talk about the goal as we move on with the stream, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin, what a goal that was. I mean, the Blues was that DCL's best ever goal for us. I think a couple of other people have spoken about Dom's goal as well. It was technically unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The turn, I've watched it, maybe 30 times now, 40 times on repeat. I can't stop watching it. It is absolutely immaculate. It's an immaculate bit of play. It's an immaculate piece of football. It's just wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and it probably is his best goal in an Everton shirt. Yes, he scored a couple of fancy goals that I think maybe would be up there as well, but yeah, it was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal, and like I said, he played a big part in yesterday as well, because ultimately his job, he had a really, really difficult job yesterday, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and in games like that, and in performances where we play like that, and where the system and the style and the message is to shut up shop, to defend and to frustrate them, and then to hit on the counter-attack, he's going to have really difficult it's a really difficult task to basically be effectively told, right, we're probably not going to have many opportunities in this game. We need to get something out of this game. So when you get an opportunity, you've got to take it. And I said this in the instant match reaction, and I'll say it again. That goal yesterday, I give a little story in the instant match reaction, and I'll do it again in case people missed it. But often when I'm watching Everton, it's fair to say, I'm very emotional, and if anybody has been in my presence when Everton have been on, you will know this. If anybody sat next to me in the match, you will know this. I'm very, very emotional watching Everton Football Club, and often when Everton have an opportunity at goal, i.e. a player is running towards goal, or a player has got the ball on the edge of the box, or a player has got the ball in the wide area, I'm the annoying fella in the pub or in the stadium who's going, go on, get the cross in, find the man, go on, have a go. I'm that kid who, whenever we've got the ball 30 yards or less from the opposition goal, I'm going, go on, have a go, find him, because it presents itself to me as an opportunity to score. And not that any of the players are listening to me or can hear me, but if that's an opportunity to score, then emotionally, I obviously am more and more invested in it. My girlfriend, who has watched many an Everton game with me over the last few months, so understands that I'm like that, turned round to me yesterday and said, after the goal went in, you didn't even jump up or shout there before he scored. And I sat back and I thought, I didn't. And then I realised it was because I didn't expect there to be a goal come from that movement. Because, firstly, it's an unbelievable take by Jared Brandtwaite. To the interception is just, as I said, I've watched Mikel Antonio play against Everton so many times over the years, and I've never, ever, ever seen him dealt with like that comfortably. He was dealt with, and I really look forward to his next podcast with Callum Wilson, where he tries to come out and slag off another Premier League centre forward, because I think it's laughable considering the performance he put in yesterday. But Branthwaite comes in, bulldozers his way through, wins the ball. Jack Harrison does really, really well to keep it, to feed it to Dom. And then, Dom gets it back, feeds it to Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison does really, really well to feed it back to Dom. And then the reason I didn't say, go on, have a go, shoot, go on, Dom, is because he had his back facing away from goal. Or his back facing the goal, so he was facing away from the goal with 3 players around him. So, not once in my mind did that register as an opportunity, because I thought, well, I didn't think this because it all happened instantly, but subconsciously I was probably thinking for him to score from here, it would have to be a world-class bit of skill and a world-class finish. And that's exactly what it was. The turn is immaculate. It's absolutely immaculate. It's a turn that if it was scored by True Red, I don't know what you are doing on this channel. You're wasting your time. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just stop you from wasting your time by hiding you. So see you later, you absolute fool. As I said, in fact, if that goal was scored by, I don't know, Rasmus Højlund or Darwin Núñez or Haaland or Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea or Richarlison at Tottenham, it would be all over the news. All over the news. It would be plastered all over the newspapers. It'd be all over Sky Sports News. It'd be spoken about as a genuine world-class finish. But because it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it will probably be spoken about a couple of times by people in the media, and then it will be forgotten about. It was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. The turn is unbelievable, and the finish is fantastic as well. And what he does is, and this is, I suppose, a rebuttal to a lot of people that say or have said he's not a natural striker, he's not a natural goal scorer, he doesn't know how to do it naturally, he's forced in there, etc., etc. What the turn was him creating a couple of inches of space for himself. He didn't do it to look fancy. He didn't do it to make the headlines. He didn't do it to make his goal look any better. He knew, if I don't do this turn here, then I can't create the space I need to get this shot off. And if I try and get this shot off, it's going to be blocked, or it's not going to be well enough hit, and it's going to be dealt with comfortably. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use me inside of my foot to create myself a yard of space, get a good view on goal, and be able to get a good solid shot off and a good solid effort at goal. He did that, and it was a goal worthy of winning any football match. Any football match. It was impeccable, and that is Dominic Calvert-Lewin at his very best. That is the Dominic Calvert-Lewin that we've known has been in there for the last 2 years, in which he spent the majority of, on the physio bed. Every time he come back and he got a reoccurring injury, or he got hurt again, or he couldn't quite make it fitness-wise, we all knew deep down that he was a top level striker in there. It was just about whether or not we'd be able to get it out of him again. And touch wood, and I don't want to speak too soon, but it looks like he's in a really healthy period of his life at the moment, in terms of his fitness, in terms of his sharpness, in terms of his physical status, being injury free. Again, as I said, touch wood. And we are seeing that with his performances. And we're seeing that with his goals now. And like I said, if that was scored by somebody who plays for the big six, if you like, it would be goal of the month without even being spoken about. It won't be goal of the month because he plays for Everton and he doesn't play for one of the big teams, and we all know, the what that means in football these days. But it's a truly, truly phenomenal goal. It's a truly phenomenal goal. It's a top-class goal from a top-class striker. And I've always said, if you can keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit, he's one of the best strikers in the league without a shadow of a doubt, if you can keep him fit and firing. And at the moment, he's doing that, so hopefully we see that continue. But even before Dom's chance, we had a couple of opportunities in the first half to go a goal ahead. Jack Harrison misses a couple of golden opportunities, and I will call them golden opportunities because they are. The one where he's 3-on-1, I think is really poor. I think he should do better with. It's decision making in that moment, and I think what Jack's done is pretty much got caught between 2 or 3 different decisions, 2 or 3 different options, and he's ended up picking the worst one, which was a left-footed shot right into the goalkeeper's chest. But when you look at that at half-time and it's 0-0, and you think, right, well, we've dealt with most of the pressure. West Ham haven't really put much on us since then. But the chances we've had, we also haven't particularly taken. And, when you watch that back and, it's 3 Everton players on 1 West Ham defender, and it doesn't calculate or accumulate to a goal, that's when you start to look and think, is that going to be one of those chances that we rue? Is that going to be one of those chances that at the end of the game we say, oh, what a wasted opportunity that was? But it wasn't, because we continued. Jack Harrison had another one that he probably should have done a little bit better with, blasted it over the bar when he had time to sort of direct it towards goal. And then we go in at half-time, and like I said, not a great game of football, similar to the Merseyside derby, really. Not a particularly exciting half, not a particularly great half from either team. I thought Everton were the better team. I thought Everton were the more comfortable team. I thought Everton were the more controlled team at half-time, because we'd soaked up that pressure of the opening 10-15 minutes and dealt with that, and then come out better from that. We had the chances after that period. We were defending really well, but it was 0-0, and the game ultimately was still there for the taking, and anything could have happened at that point. We come out for the second half, and not long after the second half started, 10-15 minutes after the second half started, we get the goal, and as we've just spoken about then, I could sit here and I could talk about this goal for days and days and days on end, because it really is a thing of beauty. It's world class from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's a world class finish. To turn to give himself that yard of space, the actual strike in itself to be hit so well and so accurate, the build up to it of Branthwaite coming and intercepting and basically seeing a ball and thinking, nope, I'm winning that. Jack Harrison doing well to keep hold of the ball. It was a truly fantastic goal, and Dom deserves a huge amount of credit for that. Jared, when I say boring, I don't personally find Everton boring. I think the performance on yesterday was very professional, very well managed, and a perfect performance, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I mean, it's a brand of football that could be perceived as boring by fans that want to watch teams, go all out and attack teams and get at people and sort of be on the attack for 90 minutes. That's not what Everton are, and that's not what Everton should be, because we ultimately can't do that. We haven't got the quality to do that. But don't get me wrong, I didn't find yesterday boring. I found yesterday very, 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 very entertaining, because Everton won the game of football. And then, like I said, once we've gone 1-0 up, I thought that was where the game management come in. Don't get me wrong, I thought we managed the game really, really well prior to going 1-0 up, in terms of soaking up the pressure in the first half, in terms of not allowing them to really create much in the rest of that first half, and Everton being the better team on the attack. However, I thought the real sort of game management, I suppose, and the real show of professionalism was when we went 1-0 up. We went 1-0 up with what, half an hour to go, was it? Let's just have a look out when Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored, because I can't quite remember off the top of my head. He scored in the 51st minute, so we still had 40 minutes to go. The best, the best percentage of a full half of football to go, and we were excellent for the rest of the game. For the 46 minutes that followed, because I think there was something like 6 minutes added on, we were absolutely excellent. And not excellent to the point where we defended our hearts out and we threw everything on the line and West Ham hit the bar or the post, or, they had a couple of last-ditch challenges. We managed to nullify West Ham to one, maybe half chance in the second half to get an equaliser in Paqueta's, was it Paqueta's chance, or was it Bowen? Bowen had one on the back post, didn't he, where he volleyed it straight into Pickford's arms, and I think Paqueta might have had a half opportunity as well. That was it. And that was away from home against a team with 45 minutes to get back into a game, who had just come off the back of 2 heavy defeats, so would have wanted to sort of have a reaction and get back into the game. And because of how well we managed it, because of how well we dealt with them, with their attacks, because of how good we were defensively, they were never ever able to get back into the game. Never able to get back into the game. Like I said before, Onana was absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. He really, really was. He defended Ben Rama, sorry, it was not Bowen. Ben Rama, with that volley. Cheers, the Blues. Onana was fantastic. He played that Ghana guy role perfectly. Absolutely perfectly, breaking the play up, on the edge of the box, driving forward with it, using his pace and power to get himself in front of players, to win fouls, to win free kicks, to get us higher up the pitch. He was even in the opposition box on a couple of occasions on the end of headers, trying to, guide them towards goal. He was absolutely incredible yesterday, Amadou Onana. He really, really was. James Garner, even though he wasn't massively involved, and I don't think it was his best game in an Everton shirt, his work rate and his desire and his commitment was still absolutely fantastic. The 2 wingers, similarly, not massively involved in the game or the outcome of the game, but their work rate and their desire and their commitment was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The pair of them, Dwight McNeil, didn't stop running even in the last 5 minutes of the game. He's chasing balls down. He's chasing players down. He's making sure that, no West Ham player has an easy run or an easy touch or an easy, control of the ball. He's there on their toes constantly. Fantastic performance. And that, I think, was what impressed me the most. Don't get me wrong, I was massively impressed by Dom's goal. I was massively impressed by, the quality that he showed. I was massively impressed by Branthwaite's individual performance, Mikalenko's individual performance, Onana's individual performance. But the thing I was most impressed with was the ability for us to effectively, not just shut up shop, but effectively completely nullify any chance West Ham had of getting back into that game. And when the final whistle was blown, it was a true, perfectly managed, perfectly professional performance. And if that is if that is a sort of stereotypical vintage Sean Dyche-esque win, then let's see them week in, week out, because we will beat a lot of teams playing like that this season, especially away from home, and we will get the points on the board. West Ham aren't an easy team to beat. I know they've just lost a couple of games on the spin, but you're talking about a team that won a European competition last season. You're talking about a team that at the start of this season absolutely nobody had as needing to fight for relegation. And yet we've turned up at their home ground and we've done what we did at Villa. We've comfortably beaten them with no real problem. Same with Brentford, comfortably beaten them with no real problem. We're starting to get our away form at the moment is really, really picking up. As I said, Merseyside derby aside, and there was the mitigating circumstances in that game anyway. Brentford, Villa, West Ham, we've been absolutely exceptional. Even the derby, I thought we played really, really well. We might have lost even if the referee wasn't biased and corrupt, but we still played really, really well in that game. We managed the game really, really well. We dealt with 10 men really, really well for 40, 50 minutes. So if we can just perfect the home performances, and hopefully we've done that now after the back of Bournemouth, then I think we'll be okay. We've got 2 big games this week. Burnley on Wednesday, obviously Brighton on Saturday. We can get a couple of big wins there, then it puts us in really, really good stead going forward. But that will be difficult because Brighton are a very good side, and Burnley obviously will be coming for blood. So let's wait and see what happens. But this yesterday was one that made me really happy, because it wasn't a smashing grab. It wasn't a massive surprise yesterday. I actually had a good feeling Everton would win yesterday. And to feel like that before the game and then watch us perform like that, it makes you happy, doesn't it? Because it's not like, oh, I think we're going to get battered today and then we win surprisingly like Brighton and we're all made up and everything's like, oh my God, this is amazing, oh my God. It was a different type of amazing, because it was, I sat back before the game and I went, I fancy us here. And all the way through the game, I thought, I fancy us here. And then after the win, I thought, yeah, I expected that. And that is what feels nice, to be able to sit there and say, that performance wasn't necessarily a shock, because we performed really well against Brentford away and Villa away, and we got the same result. So hopefully the manager has found his way now. As I said at the start of the team, hopefully he's found his way with his partnerships, hopefully he's found his way with his system, with his formation, and hopefully we can implement that every game for the rest of the season and pick up the points that we need to be able to see us comfortably secure without needing to stress in the last couple of months. So yeah, massive win. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. If you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like. Massive thanks to everybody for watching live. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to go and check out FanHub in the description down below. We'll be back tomorrow with the game preview to that Burnley game in the Carabao Cup, so look out for that one. But until then, big thank you all for watching. If you could leave a like, it would mean a huge amount to me. And if you could subscribe, that would be absolutely brilliant as well. Up the toffees. And yeah, brilliant win. And hopefully we can go and do it again in the Carabao Cup under the lights at Goodison on Wednesday. Big thanks for watching. See you after.